My name's Paul Dix. We're going to do behaviour management. We're going to do difficult conversations. We're going to look at adult behaviour and consistency. And hopefully on the way, you'll not just get some practical ideas to take away, but you'll actually get an underlying philosophy on behaviour management that starts to make sense. So I need to do a bit of explanation, first of all, because I'm standing on a big stage in front of many professionals, and I need to tell you why I get to stand here when for so many years I sat where you were sitting. I started work as a primary school teacher. I'm originally a primary school teacher. I worked in Newham in East London and in Tower Hamlets, in lovely primary schools, but with bad buildings and poorly resourced, but lovely children and lovely families. And in Newham in the early 90s, I don't know about your college, I'm sure you don't do this, or I'm sure you don't see the teachers doing this either, but at that time there was a bit of a rush for the staff room on a Friday lunchtime to be the first to get a copy of the Times educational supplement and to start dreaming of the jobs you might be able to have if you managed to get out of Newham. So there am I on a Friday lunchtime, and I'm flicking through the Times Ed, and of course I'm a dreamer. I go straight to the international section. Jamaica, Bermuda, Wigan, all the foreign jobs. And I see a job, it's been re-advertised. I mean, it's not a foreign job. It might as well be to me. I'm a West London boy, I'm at Shepherd's Bush. This job's in a place called Nuneaton. You've probably been there on your holidays. You probably have. I applied for this job. But it's not a job I was qualified to do, a job I was ready for at all. I mean, I was barely a new out-of-the-box teacher, but I was young and over-ambitious and arrogant and naive, all in one, and I'm just trying to get on. You know that feeling of just trying to get on and have a go, see what happens. So I write off in vain hope for this job, and 48 hours later, the head teacher phones me at home. He says, "You've got to come for interview." I think that's odd. Quick. I mean, my CV's only half a page. He seems over-enthusiastic. He says, Thursday morning, and there are 6 other people being interviewed for this job. So I think it's one of those. You go, you don't get the job, you learn something from it, it'll be worthwhile anyway. So I've got no hopes of getting the job, but I think, well, it's good that I've been interviewed. So I race up from London, up the motorway, off the motorway, into this school to be greeted at the door by the head teacher, who tells me that the 6 other people who are being interviewed for this job had withdrawn that morning. This is my job, right? I'm going to walk straight in. I walk into the interview, the head's there, the chair of governors. They ask me 3 questions in 10 minutes. They give me the job. I'm a head of department. And I don't know what I'm doing. You might have met some of them. In a secondary school, no idea. And I think just before I go and work out what I'm going to teach and where I'm going to live and what I'm going to do, I'll just take a drive around the estate. At which point I realised that the 6 other people who had come earlier for this interview had done that drive earlier in the morning and just driven straight home. I mean, I'd love to tell you I'm some kind of social hero diving into the worst institutions in the country. No, not at all. Young, arrogant, naive teacher, took the first job that was given to him, and I'm struggling, right? I mean, I'm really struggling. This school's in total chaos. This isn't your environment. This is really extreme. But we can learn something from this environment to bring to yours. But we are in a really extreme situation. The learners run the campus. The adults run scared. They take the long way round to avoid them. They won't go near them. Big groups of learners, they won't go anywhere near. Everyone's avoiding them. The status quo has shifted and it's unbalanced. But no matter, because at the time, the politicians were telling us, because they always have the answers, the politicians were telling us that if you just had great lessons as a teacher, you'd have great behaviour in your classes. And because I was young and naive, I kind of believed them. What a fool am I? And so I went to my friends who were secondary school teachers and I got their best lessons. I got their active and differentiated and well-resourced lessons, and I walked in. I've got a group of 16-year-olds. I walk into the lesson. First day, my first lesson in a secondary school with the big kids. And I stand at the front and I clap my hands. Nothing. I mean, nothing at all. Not a look in my direction, nothing. They're playing table football at the table. They're climbing in and out of the windows. We're on the ground floor. It's kind of all right, but I'm not too happy. So what do? When you've got a group of young people who are not listening to you, you clap your hands again and you shout a bit louder. Nothing. Not a glimmer. Nothing. You know what? They deliberately decided to send me to Coventry, which everyone knows is more preferable than Nuneaton. But you know what I mean? Nothing. So I think I don't know what to do here. I mean, I went to college. I had a little training session on behaviour management, about half an hour. They said, sink or swim, Paul, see how you go. It's all about charisma. It's all about personality. I didn't know what to do. I'm stuck. So I start looming over these 16-year-olds. They're looking at me weirdly. What's he doing? I'm shouting even louder. I've got nothing else. I think, what do you do? I've no idea. I'm 20 minutes into my first lesson, trying to teach big kids. I'm looking in the car park, and I've got my hand in my pocket. I can feel my car keys. I'm thinking, Paul, you should just leg it now. Run, go back to those lovely primary schools in East London. They'll never remember you. You'll be like the 20-minute guy. Just go. And suddenly, a young man, out of the corner of his mouth, whispers something to me that just sits in my head to this day. Those truths that your children, your colleagues, the learners that you interact with say to you, and they just lodge in your head. You can't get rid of it. You know it's a truth. He says to me, we're not scared of you, sir. And he makes me step back. Because I came into teaching, I came to work with young people not to repeat the mistakes that had been done to me. Not to do the kind of humiliation and the shouting and the aggression and the punishment route. I wanted to do something different. And yet here am I, in a situation where I'm not able to manage the behaviour of somebody else, and the first thing I do is revert to the way I was taught, or maybe the way I was parented. I go straight for the aggressive. That's a madness. We're not scared of you, sir. Why would you think that fear was an intelligent way to teach young people how to behave? We're not scared of you, sir. I haven't even introduced myself. I walk in, I start shouting the odds, and I expect them to instantly respect me. Where do I get that from? My own teachers. Here I am repeating the mistakes of the past, and I'm ashamed. I can still hear that voice. We're not scared of you, sir. These young people weren't scared of me. Why should they be? They weren't scared of their parents. They weren't scared of the police. Fear wasn't part of how they calculated their behaviour. Suddenly, there's a change in the room. There are learners coming back in through the windows. Coats are coming off. Table foot. The money's come off the table. Suddenly, within 30 seconds, I'm surrounded by diligent scholars, pens in hand, books on the table, ready to learn. I'm thinking, what did I do? Did I finally stumble across some magic behaviour management phrase? Was it something I did, something I said? Of course, it's nothing to do with me. There's a face at the window, a colleague called David from the math department. I swear to you, those learners had smelled him coming down the corridor. I mean, not that he was a smelly man, but you know what I mean. One look, one glance. I said to him, David, can you teach me that bit? He said, what? I said, that bit, the thing you did there, what they call it, the look or something. I said, can you teach me that? I'd quite like to learn that because I'm struggling here. And of course, you can't just learn what David has. It's not a strategy, it's not a technique, it's not something you get out of a toolkit. He has something that he has to work on day after day. He's got consistency with these young people. True consistency. He's got certainty. He may not choose to confront every behaviour he sees in the corridor, but he will follow up like a dog with a bone, and his reputation spreads amongst the student body. And he has relationships. Positive relationships, proper relationships, not call me Bob, be my friend relationships, but proper relationships. You know what David is? He's strict. He holds to his boundaries, but he is never nasty to the people he works with, his colleagues or the learners. He walks that line. That's a very interesting line. Being tough, being strict, holding your nerve, holding your boundaries, but never flipping over to that nasty bit. So we're going to pick up on what David learned. Because people like David, like people in your college who have been working with learners for years and working with difficult colleagues for many years, they know how to do this. So we're going to use what actually works rather than give you a toolkit of strategies that will work for a week and then will stop working straight away. There's no magic dust to this. We're going to do the proper stuff. We're going to start to embed the building blocks of great behaviour management that really experienced people like David know